Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here. In today's video I will be talking about why I think Ron Rivera is making a big mistake consistently not addressing the linebacker position for the Washington Commanders. So if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content. Also hit that like button and that notification bell as well so you never miss a video. It really does help out the channel a ton. So it is another offseason with Ron Rivera just really ignoring the linebacker position for the Washington Commanders. This is his fourth off season, and every single off season he's basically done nothing at the linebacker position in free agency. His first year here didn't really do anything besides sign David Mayo. The next year doesn't do anything in free agency at all when we really needed help at the linebacker position, and a lot of us were saying sign a linebacker in free agency and draft one. They did end up drafting Jamin Davis. I think it was a little bit too high. They probably could have traded back, but still, his rookie year wasn't great, but improved in his second year. We'll see how he does this year. And then the next year they don't really do anything in free agency for the linebacker position. And this offseason they signed Cody Barton, which in his 4 off seasons, that is the biggest signing Ron Rivera has made at the linebacker position. But they lost Cole Holcomb. So at best you can say it's like a wash, like it cancels each other out. But I mean, Cole Holcomb so far in his career is more proven than Cody Barton. So you're entering the season with Jamin Davis, Cody Barton, David Mayo, and Khaleke Hudson as your linebackers, and Dijon Harris, Milo Eifler. Don't know if Bostic's still on the roster, if he's a free agent. That's not a great group. And yes, I understand, guys. They play 2 linebacker sets, and a lot of the times it's just the 2 linebackers on the field at the same time. I totally get that. But there's going to be a time where, they're going to play a 3 linebacker set. Or, even worse, someone gets hurt. It might only be for 1 game, or like last season, it could be for 9 or 10 games. And for a few games, I think, the defense can hold it down. Like Jamin Davis was the primary linebacker when Cole Holcomb went down, and they were really only playing him, and it was fine. But once you have to, get to playing David Mayo and Bostic, that's when you're just not in a good situation. And I don't want to be in that situation again where if one of these guys gets hurt, you're going to have to play David Mayo. And yes, I understand they don't have a lot of cap space, so it's hard for them to sign a lot of these linebackers. But first of all, the amount that they have to pay is very little. Like good linebackers are getting paid $2-3 million, and you can get them for cheap. And second of all, they I feel like overpaid some of the guys in free agency and could have spent their money a little bit better so that they still could have gone after a linebacker. And that's really this year's only year where they've really had issues with salary cap. The other years they had a lot of money and just decided to not go after the linebacker position. And it's weird. Like this tweet says, it's puzzling how former linebackers Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio have yet to fix the issue of linebacker. And this guy tweeted this in August 2020, like 7-8 months later, and this is still true. And we had a visit with Anthony Walker and don't end up doing it at all. He ends up agreeing to a deal with Cleveland, and that specific player, it isn't the end of the deal that he signs somewhere else, but it's just annoying that this is our linebacker group right now. Jamin Davis, Cody Barton, and David Mayo is our 3rd linebacker, and then you got Milo Eifler and Dijon Harris. I'm not asking, and you got Khaleke Hudson as well. I'm not asking us to sign a star linebacker like Bobby Wagner. Would I love that? Yes, I would love if we signed Bobby Wagner. But give me someone like AJ Klein. Like last year I was saying it, we don't need to get a star, but get someone at least that's better at depth. AJ Klein is significantly better than David Mayo in my opinion. He's a big upgrade over David Mayo, and he's not going to cost much money. You can probably get AJ Klein for the veteran minimum. There's other linebackers you can probably get at the veteran minimum that are upgrades over David Mayo. David Mayo is a good special teams linebacker, and that is it. I don't want to see him playing defensive snaps, and if this linebacking core remains the same, it is going to, he's going to have to play snaps because, you're going to have to, play some 3 linebacker sets, and if anyone gets hurt, they're getting on the field. So, yeah, it is what it is. Let's go over some linebackers that are, that are available that they could still go after if they create some cap space. Because again, the other off seasons, the cap space wasn't a huge issue, but this off season a little bit of a bigger issue because of the way they handled things. But they still could create some cap space, restructuring a Logan Thomas deal, or asking him to take a pay cut. Same thing with Chase Roulier. I think they could do it for both of those guys and create some cap space there. Also, there's some, other restructures you could do. Someone like Jonathan Allen, he's going to be here for a while. Convert some of that money to a signing bonus, or someone like that. Terry McLaurin might be a little bit too early to restructure, but teams do it. You can create some cap space if you really want to, and it doesn't have to be 10, 12 million, which they could easily do. But even if it's like, let's say a combined 4 to 5 million from the Logan Thomas / Chase Roulier move, and then another 5 to 10 from restructures, like you can create 10, 12 million dollars in cap space and easily have enough money to sign a linebacker, maybe another, guy at another position that cost a couple mil, and then pay your rookies. And so you look at some of the linebackers that are still available. Miles Jack from the Steelers, he's all right. Kyrus Barnes from the Green Bay Packers. Quan Alexander from the Jets played pretty well for them this past season. I would like us to get him. Landon Collins, a possible reunion there. We might need a Buffalo nickel. I think it makes sense. You can get him for cheap. He played pretty well for the New York Giants. You still got Bobby Wagner out there. Again, don't think that's going to happen. But those are some options. And the longer they wait, the fewer amount of guys that are going to be out here available. So I really hope they go after someone. And in the last 4 years, they've drafted one linebacker, and that was Jamin Davis. Besides that, they didn't draft anyone. And it's ridiculous because they had a stacked D-line. Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Chase Young. And they decide to take Phidarian Mathis in the second round. Okay, yes, I get Phidarian Mathis can be solid. He's probably going to be a good player. But you had far more pressing needs. And you could say, they needed D-line depth. Well, yeah, they did. But they destroyed it themselves by, moving on from Tim Settle. And they still could have gotten Phidarian Mathis later. But the bigger issue was the linebacker depth and the starters were much worse than the D-line starters and depth, both of them. And they decided to ignore linebacker once again and not even draft one singular guy. I just don't understand it. It's one thing if you have guys there that you think can play. No, none of these guys can play. Jamin Davis can and could be a really good player. We'll see. Cody Barton is a starting level player, caliber player. Besides that, everyone else on the team, I don't even think should be backups. Khalid Hudson, maybe. He actually has the talent. I don't think he's there yet, but I think eventually he could turn into a good fifth linebacker on the team. You still need someone else. And your best linebacker besides Cody Barton and Jamin Davis is probably Khalid Hudson, and on a solid linebacking core, he's probably the fifth linebacker, okay? And right now, he's probably the third best linebacker on the team. That's just not good. That's just not good at all. And it's unfortunate we're still in this position in the middle of the fourth offseason, and we're still struggling at the linebacker position. I hope Ron Rivera is able to address it. I don't think he will. And again, it's puzzling because Rivera and Jack Del Rio were former NFL linebackers. And every single year, like this tweet says, they just ignore the position. The main signings they've made are David Mayo in 2020 and Cody Barton in 2023, but you lost Cole Holcomb, and then they drafted one guy, and that's Jamin Davis. It doesn't make sense. They've had many draft picks to be able to go after guys. They've had salary cap space in the last few years where they could have gone after someone. They had salary cap space going into this offseason, and they decided to spend it elsewhere. Wiley got $8 million a year. I don't know if he was I don't know if he's worth that. I probably would have rather signed the Philadelphia Eagles guard for $8 million than Andrew Wiley, and then you could add Sam Cosmi at tackle, or you could have gotten a cheaper tackle and then gotten after a guard. I know people are going to say it's their linebackers are fine, they play two linebacker sets, and that's fine. And this year, this specific off season in terms of free agency, I'll give them a little bit of a pass because of the cap space, but the other three, The other 3 off seasons, no excuses, and they just haven't adjusted, and it's still the weakest point on the defense. The cornerbacks still aren't amazing, but at least they have some good players. Like Kendall Fuller is a solid cornerback in this league. Benjamin St-Juste is a good corner in this league, and when healthy. And then got Danny Johnson, blah blah blah. The linebacking core, Jamin Davis is all right, and he's got potential. He's going into his 3rd year. I think he has Pro Bowl potential. Cody Barnes all right. Like you just maybe not even that, and your depth is just awful. So I hope they address it, but you never know with this team. Maybe it'll be after the draft, but hopefully they at least draft someone. Like it doesn't have to be like you don't have to sign someone. That's preferred because we need some guys that can come in and play now. But if you draft someone, at least that's something that maybe in a year or 2 he can actually be good. So yeah, that's it for today's video. Just a little bit of a rant for you guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.